Hey, welcome back to another journal-worthy journey video. This is going to be part 2 of, I think, 3 different videos that we're going to end up doing. The previous one was a quick run-through of the general layout of our trailer. This second one, I want to go into more detail on some of the items that we actually like and we use inside of our trailer on a regular basis, as well as what's down below in the storage bays. So that'll be the second video. The third video, we'll take a look at the truck and kind of what we carry in it, what we think of the truck, our experiences driving, 136,000 miles that I've got on that truck now, all over the country, hauling this massive fifth wheel. Let's get into it and talk about some of these items. We're going to break it down into a number of different sections. So let's see, first up, we're going to talk about some household items, including like our heaters and humidifiers and things. Okay, so first up, let's talk about our home items. We've got things like our humidifier. There's also a dehumidifier down in the basement. We've got different space heaters. We've got our vacuum that we like using. We have an air purifier. So we carry a fair amount of additional equipment on board, regardless of how much we really use all of this sort of stuff. I'll just start on the left and mention this humidifier here. Pretty big fan of it. This is the Levoit humidifier that we ordered, I think just through Amazon, and it's a smart humidifier. Kind of a fan of the smart humidifiers and the smart devices. So even our heater here as well, like these are things I can control from my phone. I can check the status, they'll give me information. I can be curious about like what's the humidity in here and so forth. This one in particular has worked pretty well for us when we are just really, really dry and we want it to be a little bit less dry in the bedroom. Out here, not nearly as much. And even in the bedroom, you need to be careful about it. The problem you can run into quickly with this is too much humidity. When it's really cold out, you can frost your windows over pretty easily with a device like this. Certainly if you're running a ton inside, you might have mold problems and stuff. So just be careful if you're using a humidifier inside of your trailer, and pay attention to what's happening to your walls and your windows, right? Don't soak yourself out. As far as space heaters go, we've tried out a few different ones. I used to be a big fan of the Vornado brand, not so much anymore. This thing, this weird plastic they switched to, like they changed up how they work. I've had more problems with these things in recent years not working right. This thing kind of stinks a little bit. It's got that weird plasticky smell. Now this one, this is a Honeywell space heater. So this one used to be the main one we'd use in our bedroom all the time. And I liked it because it's got a lot of cool features. Like we can wind the cable up in the bottom of it, so it's got its own little cable management system. It's got buttons to easily pivot. It'll turn around. You can set a few different heat modes and stuff. The only real problem is that there's just not enough control on it. With this one, it goes in increments of 5, and then it doesn't keep running the fan whenever it cuts off. So like it'll get to temperature and then just stop, or what it thinks is temperature, and it's kind of like back and forth. You can struggle to hit the right temperature in an RV consistently with that one. And that led me over to this one. This one, I've really liked this one. So this is Govee. We've got a few other Govee devices as well. But this is our primary space heater that we use in our bedroom now. And big fan of that one. Works on Bluetooth, works on Wi-Fi. So if it's plugged in and it's connected to our Wi-Fi and we're out of the trailer, I can actually turn it off there if I left it going and wanted to turn it off. If there is no Wi-Fi in the house, say we just got to a new place and it's plugged in, but I didn't hook up Wi-Fi and stuff, well, then I can still control it with Bluetooth. It's seamless. So it's got the features and functionality I want on it. They've actually updated the app since we first got it. They added some more functionality control that I wanted, where it can do the automatic on-off and ranges and stuff like that the way I want it to. So yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of the Govee. Would definitely recommend that. We've had a couple of different air purifiers, mostly because of that smoke stuff. We'd run into smoke going out west. And so I spent quite a bit of money on this one. This is the Allen Breathe Smart, and it comes with a really big fancy charcoal filter, and they've got a few different options on it, but we got the smoke one. I think it's really geared more around people who are smoking in a house and like trying to clean that up. Yeah, as far as an RV it goes, I don't know. It adds a little bit of white noise. We like that. We liked our previous one actually better for the white noise. This one definitely does better with the filtering, the way the filter goes in. I think it's an excellent filter, but again, with the way the RV exchanges so much air outside, I don't know that it really makes much of a difference for allergies or anything. So that one's pretty neat. The other thing we got sitting up here is our little Dyson stick vac. Big fan of this. This thing's great. We've got a couple of different roller attachment stuff that we keep stored right by the door. Quick and easy swap those on. This is part of our routine every week that we move. So just before we get ready to go, vacuum all the floors. Place stays pretty nice. One last thing to mention, and I'll show you on the wall, and that's our Govee. Goes with this as well. Can use it in the same app, but it's just our sensors. Let's take a look at that. So over here on the wall, again, kind of near the entryway on this particular one, but we've got, this is just one of several of these Govee sensors that we've got in the trailer. I really like these things. They'll tell you humidity and temperature. They seem to be fairly reliable and accurate. And I've stuck them in various places, both inside and one on the outside. We've actually got one of the Govee sensors inside that pin box. Now that makes it maybe not the most accurate all the time on the temperature, but works well enough when it's like early morning, nighttime. I really like these Govee sensors. We just stuck them to the wall and stuck them in different places with the little 3M stick back stuff, and they've held on fantastically. They work really well for just kind of letting us know what's the temperature like in the different parts of the RV. And the humidity, I actually kind of like that down in certain basement areas, so that if there was a leak, it gives me a better chance of maybe noticing like, hey, that humidity is kind of out of whack. Okay, so next let's talk tech items. And what we've got here are a few different things that are all just kind of generally around the trailer that we use. I'm actually going to start right here, which is our security system. So this is part of the Eufy security setup. There's a lot of different options. Be careful on what you're buying, whether you're getting wired or not wired, and I guess what you want to do with it. These unwired ones, they have supposedly like a year-long battery. But I mean, that's if it's sitting on a porch and barely ever notices anybody moving. Because what it does is it only records when there's motion. So for us, putting this inside the trailer at certain angles and stuff, we trip these cameras all the time. The batteries last weeks, maybe months, but definitely not a year. But I really do like this security setup on this system. It doesn't require a network. And that's one of the big reasons why I like it. Now, you can use it locally on your network. You can record to devices locally on your network, to a computer or network storage or something that matter. Or you can pay for their cloud subscription service to be able to use it, but you don't have to. I can fully access my cameras remotely by cell phone as long as the trailer's on Wi-Fi, right? And therefore my system's on Wi-Fi. I can access these remotely. I can change whether they're in immediate alarm mode, away mode or not. I can get copies of the video and photos and stuff like that. So this gives me all the flexibility with no additional subscription, and that's a big reason why I like these. Now, I will say they did have a security breach a little while back, so if that's a concern, supposedly it's addressed. You never really know, but if you really wanted to get into it, just never connect them to a Wi-Fi network and you'll be fine. Can't breach that. Yeah, these are great little security cameras, easy to place different places. Yeah, magnetic back. So if you've got a place you want to put it around the trailer, you can potentially do that. Sometimes I've stuck these just to the frame of the trailer, right? If I'm wanting to just, for whatever reason, the area around the trailer, yeah, I can stick these at different points around the trailer. You can have up to, I think, 16 of them on a single system. So you can just keep buying more cameras if you want to stick them places. Yeah, pretty big fan of the Eufy security. It's been nice having a little security system. This is the T-Mobile. This is actually just one of, I guess probably they're older at this point, one of their T-Mobile home internet devices. So this connects to T-Mobile cell networks. The places that we camp tend to have T-Mobile access. It's actually rare that this device doesn't work, so it's become our primary device for getting online. We also still have Starlink, and we can tether to other cellular networks with devices for AT&T and Verizon that we also carry. But those aren't even worth talking about because those are just like cell phones and stuff. This is actually a true home internet device, and it's fantastic. I've gotten incredible speeds with this in places you would think you might not even have cell service. So yeah, if you travel around a lot, I think it's really good. If you're stationary, it's probably at least worth checking out unless you happen to have really good campground Wi-Fi. Starlink is just a backup to this, and we only activate Starlink as needed because it's very expensive, and honestly, It's rarely, even when it is activated and good, it's rarely as good as this is on average. Big fan of the T-Mobile device. They talked about changing pricing and stuff like that and having a mobile price. I don't know if they'll end up going through with that or not. They kind of backed out for it for now. So keep an eye on pricing for the T-Mobile, but if it stays where it's at, around the $50 to $60 range, I couldn't recommend it more. One other device that needs to be online, that needs this for it, and I really want to mention, is our Google Home. This device, fantastic. You can see how small that is. Plug straight into the TV, and yeah, we use that all the time for streaming and stuff. This is primarily how we watch television. We don't really use cable that much. We definitely don't use satellite. So yeah, that's our go-to for television. And speaking of watching things, this is one other device by Anchor. It's their Nebula projector. So you can see right there, it's not even plugged in, and I've powered that on. So this is an awesome little portable projector. It can mount to a tripod. I've actually got a little quick mount on here right now that is compatible with my tripod. They've got newer versions of this that are even better. There's some various different ones of it. I like the fact it's on battery, even though we tend to use it plugged in when we do use it outside. But yeah, if you don't have an outside TV, shining this up on a wall when you want to watch TV, hook it up to a tripod, set it out there, then you can bother worrying about figuring out how you're going to plug it in if you want to keep watching it for a long time or not. But otherwise, quick and easy to get up and running. So with that said, that's all this sort of tech I can show you right here. The rest of the tech, I'm going to need you to join me over at the desk, and we'll talk about that. Welcome to the desk. This is where I spend a lot of my time over here. I wanted to talk about just a few things with this desk. As far as this surface here goes, we went to Lumber Liquidators back in the Dallas area. I bought myself a butcher block. I ordered some big steel desk legs welded together by some guy in New York. Shipped to us, and that's kind of, I use that as the guts of the desk. The one thing to definitely talk about though is like, how do we actually strap these chairs and deal with that? I feel like that is actually worth talking about. These particular ones, as you can see, they've got the little carabiner clips on them. And I was able to screw up just some attachment points on the underside of the desk. So with that, you can just run them through the chair with them clipped in below. And that does a really good job at actually holding these chairs in place so that they're not banging into things as we go down the road. I did cut the desk a little bit short just so that everything fits. So do your measurements. If you're gonna do something like this, you wanna make sure that your slides can come in when everything is hooked up so you can go down the road with it. Is this good? All right, storage. This is so important in an RV, is how you actually store and carry things around. You can't just throw everything up into a cabinet and expect the cabinets not to get beat up, your stuff not to get beat up, things to not come falling out as you're bouncing down the road. This is an excellent solution to all that. These storage bags are something that Taylor found, and there's a lot of variety in styles. You can get different colors with or without handles, various things, but they're great, and they can hold quite a bit of stuff. In fact, in here, got a tech item I didn't really talk about, our little mobile HP printer. Didn't talk about that one so much because I think they stopped making this particular edition, so I could recommend it to you, but yeah, I don't think you're gonna find that one. But there are other small form factor printers now, and you can print stuff on the road. Bin like that, great to carry it in. These bins, they've got metal wires around the top. That helps them hold their shape and stuff, which is good again when it's in there and bouncing around down the road and stuff. Yeah, tall sides, thick canvas on it, good stitching. We've had no problems of anything coming apart with these. Like, these are actually really well done. And with the different sizes, you do a little bit of measuring, you might be able to do what we've done here and find them where they fit just perfectly in the depth in there, and you can put several in there. Obviously, we could have fit a fourth in here, but we've kind of put some other items just loose and fit in there, but love these things. We're able to put just a lot of our extra stuff up there, whether it's, other games and, smaller decks of cards or things like that, or like all the extra wires and stuff. These days you have so many electronics, you got all the wires and stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff just gets thrown up there when it's time to move. All the extra stuff from my desk kind of ends up in these bins, and then we hit the road and I don't have to worry about them dumping all down in my face when we get there. All right, let's go look at some other stuff. Classic Styrolite plastic bins. We've got quite a few of these of different sizes around. And this is one that is coming extremely handy for stuff like this. We collect like the different birds, got our different decor. Taylor had to get that close up there so you could see. Loves the birds. But yeah, we like these sort of things for collecting and putting different things in different places. And since we've had these earlier on, we've kind of kept on to them. But yeah, don't forget, again, when you're putting these things up there, if you're just trying to stack that up, all that's going to come tumbling out and stuff. So try to find bins that match your space and make use of that. Just do be wary a little bit if you've got this sort of glass. Depending on what you have, that it might scratch the backside of that. So be a little bit careful on that layout and stuff, but don't forget about the classic plastic Sterilite bins. They're great. Storage containers are not only for cabinets, they're also for the fridge. Coming in multiple sizes, these containers for the fridge are like really awesome when it comes to move days. As you can see, it does a good job of holding things in place that would otherwise be rolling all around the fridge and potentially getting everywhere, or breaking bottles, breaking shelves, doing who knows what. This is one of our other items that's like on a must checklist every week is what's the layout of the fridge? Are there loose items or not? And make sure everything is kind of in a bin or at least situated where it's not going to go everywhere. These help out tremendously with that. Can't recommend them enough. All right, welcome to Taylor's Closet. In here we got a few other storage items. We've got kind of a soft-sided giant bag down here on the ground. Again, the soft sides can be very nice where you don't want it just bashing up your closet. This sliding door, things of that nature. Speaking of soft sides and storage, for things that aren't enclosed, you want a little extra storage space to just put clothes in. If you got an excess amount of hanging space, yeah, one of these little extra shelving bags. These things are great. Taylor's got one, I've got one. Yeah, we really like them. And then as far as what's up above, there's a shelf up here, and you can't see it in the frame right now, but she's got more of those other bins that we just showed you that we use down below for like the printer and that sort of stuff. Same sort of things, different size, different colors, but yeah, that goes great up top. Keeps everything in shape there as we go rolling down the road. I'm out of wind. Another bin is on top of our washing machine here. We actually used a little bit of Velcro to be able to stick this bin to the top of the washing machine. And that means that laundry detergent and other related laundry items can just stay securely up there. Never had a problem of those drifting off all the time that we've been bouncing down the road. So really handy if you've got this kind of extra space to be able to do that. So just look around at your options and be creative. We've talked a lot about bins. Last thing, these bins that we actually use in the bathroom. We've got a few different options here. We've got some that we've, again, like Velcroed down to the counter down here because we have that extra counter space. We found some, Velcroed them in place so that we don't have to take things in and out. And even though a lot of the items are really tall and around the lip, once again, we've not had problems of things bouncing out and going down the road. Up above in our medicine cabinet, again, there's a lot of space up here and we wanted to control some items. It's kind of a mess, but the bins still help out. So we have added a few additional bins up here as well as Taylor also added in this little shelving space up at the top that worked out pretty well. So look around for your options on what kind of bins and things you can use to help hold your items in place. It's definitely been helpful for us. There's only one thing to talk about as far as shower stuff goes, and that is these little 3M hangers that we use up here. Those are just stuck to the shower wall, and they've done a great job at keeping these loofahs in place as we bounce down the road. Not to mention it's handy for them just to always be hanging right here drying out for the shower. So definitely recommend those. The stickiness on them has been great, and it looks like I lost my light.
It turned off.
It's all right. I think we got what we needed. But yeah, look for that sort of stuff. You know, if you got things like this that you want to hang, the 3M stickiness stuff. Yeah, those are great. They've held on no problem. I'm tired of stuffing myself around the spaces in the bedroom, so I'm going to show you these things out here. But it belongs in the closet. This is your traditional style hanger right here, and this is this low, short little hanger. It's called higher hangers, and you can see the difference there and how much extra space. So what that means is when this hanger is actually holding your clothes, the clothes are up that much higher. So you have that much more space down below where things are hanging. So it either keeps things that are long from hanging as much down on the ground, or gives you more usable space. And that's really what it does for me. In my wardrobe in there, yeah, these things are killer for me, for my specific case. Because the wardrobe is at the top, and you got shelves and stuff down below. And above those, obviously, there's a surface area that things can go on. If all my shirts and everything were hanging right down to the bottom, it would make that space a lot harder to use. So if you can find higher hangers, yeah, really recommend that. Now, one other little thing that comes from the bedroom again, and can obviously be used elsewhere, it's this particular plug. Now, there's other ones like this, but this particular one, what I like about it is the feature set here of really being able to take what normally you would have to plug in 90 degrees this direction and allow me to plug in this direction. And what that does for me is my cell phone, when it's plugged in at night, I don't have this cable coming out at my head because the plugs are like right there on the side of the bed. And instead, I plug it in this way. And that's really nice for my particular situation with where my plugs are located. It's also handy for taking, anytime we go to a hotel or anything. I like bringing this because a lot of times in hotels, they don't give you enough outlets. So bring that. All right, let me clear this off and we'll talk about collapsibles. Collapsible storage, very important in an RV. We found a few solutions that work pretty well for us. This right here, for any of the leftover food and stuff like that, it's great. A lot about what it makes it great is the fact that not only do the dishes stack themselves, the containers stack individually, but also the lids, they clip together like that, and the whole thing really gets out of your way and is the best solution that we found for a nice lightweight solution to store in our cabinets and then use in the fridge when we have leftovers. Along the lines of collapsibles, let's not forget a little strainer. There's a lot of varieties on strainers that you can find out there. What I like about this one is the handles. So the handles are wide enough that they can extend and it'll actually hold itself over the sink. If you're just using like one of the little collapsible round handheld ones or something, you're having to hold it the whole time. So we didn't go with that. We went with this so that we can easily strain out stuff when we're cooking, when we need to rinse lettuce or anything like that. It's a large one too. A lot of volume in there, expands well over the sink, no problems using it, really like that. Now moving on, we'll go with the smaller items here. Of course, you need your measuring devices. So these are fantastic. Able to just easily have those fold in and out, no problem. And they seem fairly accurate when measured against other devices. We just go up until the dark line on the inside, and that measures the measurement pretty well. So like those, little silicone. For your smaller measurements, just a fold out spoon. There's a lot of options like this available, so you'll find that if you don't already have one of those. Don't forget that for the RV. Mixing bowls. How much do you use mixing bowls? Well, it depends, right? These are very handy though because you got yourself the stainless steel with lids. The lids all stack into each other, so that makes it really easy and portable. And then you got a bunch of different sizes. And by the way, the color of the lids match the color on the bottom. So really easy to work with, given how the colors line up. So quite a few bowls here. Why do we need so many bowls? We don't, normally. But sometimes you never know, cooking some stuff, or you just want to put popcorn into it or whatever. Love being able to reach up into our cabinets and grab these. As I showed in a previous video too, this whole thing fits in the cabinet, even though it's quite large, no problem. All right, enough collapsibles. Let me move these out of the way. We'll talk about cooking. Okay, if you're in a small RV, what do you need to cook to go big with the meals? Well, forget about that stuff. Let's talk small first. I love these things. So I've got, and Taylor is coming up here with the camera really close. That's gonna be too close, I think, with that camera, but yeah, what I've got here are my two favorite pans, honestly. So these things, believe it or not, are fantastic for a couple of important meals to start your day, and that is pancakes and eggs. And I know you're going like pancakes in that tiny little thing. And it's like, yeah, if you want to make single serve pancakes, you get the instant batter, you mix it up in a cup, and here's what you do. Pour a little bit in here and get your pancake going. Get yourself a tiny little pancake, dump it in there. That way you're not dealing with flipping or anything like that. So you got that one going on a second burner. Now that's cooking the other side. Start another one here. Get that action going. Before you know it, you got yourself like a dozen little tiny pancakes ready to go. It's fantastic. Good eating. Love that. You'll find that, I've seen that in stores as well as obviously online. This is really geared more towards eggs and is fantastic. I love this thing for just quickly making eggs and being able to flip them. Obviously we have other big pans and stuff as well, but they're pans. You know how that works. Let's talk about what we cook most of the rest of our meals in, and it's these two devices. These we cook as much, if not more, than we do on the stovetop or in the oven using these two different devices. And that's just because they're super easy to work with. This is the Ninja Foodie. It's a multi-function cooker, not a pressure cooker. We did actually have the pressure cooker, which is a round one. The round one we found, we didn't like the way that it rolled around in the cabinets. Like it would bang around a lot more. Like there wasn't a great way to kind of position the cabinets specifically. This one I like so much better. It's actually lighter weight than the older round one that we had, the old Ninja that we had. And because of its shape right here, when it comes to traveling, I'm able to put that flat side where it's not banging up those cabinets. So I really like this cooker a ton. It puts out an incredible amount of heat really fast, does really good with air circulation. So we use it to reheat all kinds of things, you know, pizza and whatever. We'll use it to cook a variety of meals, slow cook things, pot roast, chicken, yeah, you name it. Like this thing can do just all kinds of stuff. Really recommend this, not only for an RV, but just in general. But yeah, we get a ton of use out of that. This is our alternative to the Blackstone. I'm sure a lot of people have these. You probably grew up with it, just an electric griddle or electric skillet. And yeah, this particular one that we've got, we use it pretty frequently to cook various different dishes in it, and we got rid of our Blackstone. So we had a Blackstone. It's just so much bigger, heavier, kind of a pain to deal with, and you're having to cook outside with that thing. So this gives us the option. We can plug it in outside. We can do exactly what we did with the Blackstone, or we can cook inside. Gives us our choice, right? If there's too many bugs, weather's going to be bad, whatever the case. And it's easier to carry around. It's easier to clean up. Yeah, get yourself an electric skillet. Really recommend that. Final item to talk about, ice maker. So you can get these at like Walmart and stuff. And yeah, we like having the ice. We'll plug it in and make a bunch of bags of ice and throw it in a freezer. You might be thinking to yourself, if you already know about these freezers, going like, hey, that thing has an ice maker. You can use that in the RV. Look into your RV, especially whatever RV you're trying to purchase. Do you know what happens if it freezes? Those lines going to this, especially when it's in a slide like that, they go outside. That means if it's going to freeze, you're risking breaking that line. So you need to turn it off and drain it. Well, where do you turn it off at? Two places. There's actually a place underneath the sink here. Also, there's a place underneath the stove. You have to pull out the drawer, and then you have to reach way back in there to turn that on and off, that water. It's a real hassle, and we've stayed a lot of places further north throughout the year. We regularly were encountering freezing temperatures, and that meant needing to like turn it on and off again. So honestly, I wish they would put in fridges that don't have ice makers, because I'd rather do this, because that's what we do all the time. We just use a separate ice maker. We've also done trays, but yeah, I like this ice. I like the speed of it. I like being able to just make a whole bunch of it and bag it and throw it in there and not having to crack trays and having to worry about putting trays in there and closing, all that kind of stuff. So if you've got the room for it, and we do have the room for this, it actually fits right in our pantry on one of the shelves, no problem. Yeah, a little ice maker. It's fantastic. That pretty well concludes the inside portion of this video. This is the tech and the stuff that we use all the time here, the things that we like. I can't really think too much about what we've gotten rid of from the inside that we don't like, but everybody's individual. You'll figure your own stuff out. So I'm gonna put this stuff away, and then I'll meet y'all outside, and we'll go through the outside storage, show you what else we're carrying in this RV. Okay, welcome outside. Let's go through the storage, and yeah, by the way, it is a different day. I'm definitely in a different shirt because a couple of days later. It's just what happens when the days are short and I got a lot of things to do. not always able to follow up with the filming right away. All right, so our particular RV has 3 different compartments. We've got this front compartment, and then we've got, well, I guess really 2 compartments. It's really this front and then the pass-through storage. I kind of see it as 3 because it's wide. So really we access that side, this side of that pass-through, and then of course the front. What do we got here in the front? Well, kind of a lot of stuff, but one thing is this mat. Barely ever use this, to be honest. If you're more stationary and they allow you to permanently put it down, they might get more use out of this. We definitely see a lot of people using them, but for us, could have saved on that. That right there is very handy. Actually, I've used this a lot. This is just a little round folding table. Probably just got it at Home Depot or Walmart. I don't even remember anymore. Yeah, really recommend finding a good folding table to bring with you. Living full-time in an RV, I brought lots of extra spare parts. This is kind of excessive, but honestly it was just, I had little bins of various like fasteners and screws and various things. I've probably added a little bit to this as we've gone. I actually wanted to get rid of most of it at the beginning of this last travel year. I just ran short on time, figured I'd throw it away as we went, and well, never got back to it. So with us it's come. Got a little pump thing here for redoing fluid, some gloves. Yeah, nothing too much in there. Again, it's just kind of all of this stuff that's come with us. More tools. Got a bunch of, a bag full of miscellaneous, just screwdrivers, pliers, all kinds of things in there. I've got some caulk guns. Yeah, some extra straps. Too much stuff, really. Yeah, you definitely don't necessarily need all this sort of stuff. And you might find that you just kind of accumulate some of this as you go, but if you don't work diligently to get rid of it, it'll keep riding with you. And that's kind of what's happened with us here. So part of the reason why we're able to carry all this extra tools and stuff here is the fact that we don't have a generator in the front. So we kind of traded off all that weight for tools because we didn't really need a generator with us just staying in parks all the time. We did buy a Westinghouse 3500 and kept that in here for a while. Used it like one time just to more or less try it out. If you're living like us, you don't need the generator, don't have it, it's an expensive option, and then you got more room for, you know, tools and things. Ooh, I'm glad I found these.
You can use them.
Yes. Yes. One other awesome thing to carry with you. You'll see a lot of people with big ladders strapped to the ladders that are built on the back of their RVs, right? You'll see them like that. This is a expanding, collapsing one. It actually goes 13 feet tall. Just undo this section here, and then it comes out like that. You'll find various versions of this on like Amazon and stuff. I love this thing. I think it's fantastic. I've been up on it a bunch. I use it all the time for being able to work high on the RV. It works great. I find it to be actually pretty reliable and stable. Yeah, if you got a tall unit and you need a ladder, get you one of those. I love that thing. Guess what else we have in here?
More tools?
Yeah, there's like just some more of that same other stuff. There's not really much more to go through in here. It's more junk that I should have gotten rid of. Yeah, just more tools and things. That's basically our whole front. Other than that, we've got our battery set up here to the right and the hydraulics up here in the front. That's literally the entirety of this. Got a strap right here that was holding some of this stuff in here before.
That's our whole front cap.
That's the front. It's basically a bunch of stuff I don't need for the most part. This is like 90%. We could have gotten rid of this by now. I rarely come up here, to be honest, in the front. It's just how it's been. All right, let's see what's in the pass-through. Okay, so this is one half of our pass-through storage. And let's see what kind of things we got going on in here. So our water filter, we've got the big triple water filter thing. This is where it rides. I just set it up here. You'll want to keep some sort of just pair of grips or whatever for dealing with hooking up your water. Need to get it tight a lot of times to keep it from dripping. So handy to keep that sort of thing here. The hose that came with the RV, that we don't really use. Our main hoses, this is what we use up here. I really like using these straps to hold the hoses up in place. And yeah, it's a little bit of a mess in here right now. Personally, I've really enjoyed using these. These are the Ely hose reels hoses, and I've had them cut to fit. So I've got different sizes, several different sizes. I got some really short ones, I got some medium ones, I got some longer ones. And that just makes it really easy for me to hook up with the quick connects. I keep some extra extensions here. We've rarely needed the extensions, but sometimes they've come in handy, as well as like a dog bone extension. Aside from that, I've screwed in this extra little shelf here that I bought. And on it, aside from some duct tape I didn't even remember up there, got a little 2-liter bottle because that can actually be used with this, which is a little power washer. So yeah, just kind of a handy shelf, screwing that in the wall there that gets things up and over the stuff that I keep down below. So down below that is where I've normally had a lot of our little sewer hose things. This one's pretty well busted up. I've got another replacement that we're using now, but I still have a few pieces of that one because sometimes you need a lot. You got a long reach for that hose. I've got this air compressor and I've never used it, but I bought it just so that we had something that was high enough to deal with our tires. This trailer uses 110 PSI tires. So your normal automotive compressor is not able to handle that. So make sure you get something that can. I don't use that, and there's a reason why, and that's because I've actually got a solution that works better that's in the truck. It's a Milwaukee inflator, and it's fantastic. I highly recommend that. Orange blocks. You want to make sure you got a bunch of these. We're using quite a few underneath the backside just to help stabilize since we're staying in this spot for a while. So otherwise there'd normally be more of those there. Got a hose we use for our black tank flush, just one of the flexible ones. One of these little meters on it. Really recommend the meter.
We'll link those.
So yeah, everything will be linked, and nothing sponsored. We're not making any money off of any of this. Unlike other channels out there, we have no sponsorships or even Amazon affiliates. I think 25 or maybe even 50 feet for cable hookup. Taylor likes that. Not all RV parks, and I think fewer and fewer even have cable anymore, but if and where you want it, make sure you got plenty of that. So I've got some other just miscellaneous water hose attachments and things in here. So a bit of that sort of stuff, but let's see, anything else? Yeah, we'll go with this, and then we'll go to the other side for everything else. So this is about it for the halfway point. So we've got the car wash kit more or less here. Just a couple of spare buckets, some various washing things both for the trailer and the truck, and rags and stuff. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for this half. I guess the one other thing I've got down here is my Starlink adapter that I use to go Wi-Fi up to the Starlink, because I'll actually route it through here and out the wet bay section when I hook it up to the roof and outside. So, but that doesn't matter if you don't have Starlink. All right, I think that's it for this side. We'll go run around to the other side and go take a look over there. All right, let's check out this other side. Got a few things here in the front, just some chemicals and stuff, little various things that tend to float around here, to be honest. Jacks. You probably want to carry a few jacks with you, to be honest. Even though it's got the hydraulic things, you're not supposed to lift with those. Those are really stabilizers. So some bottle jacks, stuff like that are kind of good. More Ryobi tools. Little blower. This thing actually comes in pretty handy, especially times like this where leaves are falling everywhere. Ooh, that sun is coming out now. A little bit of the charcoal, if you ever end up needing that. Also, can be decent for starting a fire, getting one going if you're desperate. Zip ties. No shortage of need for zip ties. We use this quite a bit when we're out east. This is our Frigidaire dehumidifier. It's not totally necessary, depending on how you run your ACs and various things and what climate you're in and so forth. But yeah, there's definitely been times where it's just like, it just feels gross outside and you're using the extra power of this to help out on the inside. Makes it feel a lot nicer. Ooh, I almost need sunglasses over here now. The sun was behind clouds and now it came out. Sorry for all the squinting, but I just don't do well with the sun. Bug zapper, nearly useless to have. If you're in a place where you actually need one of these, there's probably so many bugs it doesn't even matter. Starlink, that's what this big black box is. So if you don't know what Starlink is, it's a fantastic backup option for internet, in my opinion. Not really that great for our primary source. Depending on where you're at, if you're just gonna constantly be far out and away from cellular service, yeah, that really is probably your option. If you're anywhere where there's cell towers, you almost certainly have a better option. T-Mobile has been fantastic for us. We use that all the time. AT&T sometimes, Verizon rarely. Yeah, if you get Starlink, get a bin. Put it in there. Hanging there on another one of those straps. That's what this whole thing is just a big extension cable. I think it's like a 10 gauge extension cable, but yeah, want to make sure you have a good high quality extension cable for occasional use outside with different things. Mainly, we've mainly used that with our outdoor projector. On this side, it's a bit of the sort of chemicals and things like that. That's really handy. This is 2-foot long zip ties. That's what those straps are actually zip tied around the frame pieces with. We got these 2-foot long zip ties. Love those things. I've used those for all kinds of things. All right, so anyways, this side is largely used for like chemicals and stuff. There's mixed reviews on some of these 3-in-1 products. If you look online, some people say, don't use them as they say. Some people say use them as they say, but to be honest, yeah, if things are sticking and you're not sure what to go get, these are fine products. The big thing that's in here, thing that's taking up all the weight, this is my favorite jack right here. I really like this thing. And the reason why I really like this thing is just because it's got a built-in jack stand in it. So this whole thing, you've got a pin, you've got the bar, and it's got a little lock lever, and then you can put the pin in it. And like, yeah, this thing works great at actually holding things where they're supposed to be and making it feel safe where you don't need a separate jack stand. So I guess this one is the Powerbuilt Unijack 4,000 pounds. It's a 16,000 pound trailer, so you know, you're not lifting the whole trailer on this thing, but it's worked really, really well for us. I feel way more confident using this thing. All right, enough about chemicals and things. What else have we got? This is just a shelf that I got from Walmart. And what I did, because there's the frame members up here, you know, I made sure that it was something that would fit in here and just hold our stuff in it. So this thing has been great. Just make sure it's short enough to fit in here, but this thing has been great for just organizing things like chairs. Got a disc golf backpack thrown on it. I got our motorcycle helmets. Even if you don't have a motorcycle, recommend having helmets like this if you're gonna ever go rent something like the side-by-sides or anything like that. Any sort of thing where you're gonna be required to have a helmet, having your own versus the rental. Yeah, I'm glad we're carrying these along. It's been one of those items that we use a lot. Speaking of items we use a lot, that's also on the shelf. Or I guess I shouldn't say a lot, but just anytime that we're gonna do that sort of activity, yeah, not only our own helmets, but our own life jackets. So this shelf is great. I can stuff the life jackets just right up top here. The helmets fit in the middle. Can put chairs and umbrellas down on the bottom. And that's really what I use this thing for. And believe it or not, like none of this stuff ever falls off. We bounce up and down the road and it's worked really well. Also sitting next to here are some tools and things. The premier tool that we use all the time is whenever we need to check and you should do this frequently, but just check the actual torque on your lug nuts. Yeah, torque wrench. Of course, a little step ladder. Depending on how tall you are, I rarely need this, but sometimes it's handy. This you definitely don't need, and is definitely one of the items I should have gotten rid of and not carried with us this whole time. This is a massive socket set. I mean, like a massive socket set. And the only reason why it's been in here is because honestly, it's just fit. The reality is you only need like 2 or 3 sockets. You don't need a huge socket kit like this. You need the ones for your wheels, maybe a couple other things. For the most part, a basic home set will work, but also check your wheels. They may be a little bit larger in the socket size that you need than like a standard home kit. I've got everything. Whoa.
Oh boy.
Caught it. So, tree saw, haven't really needed this. Have used it.
I'm really glad you caught that.
Yeah. Have used it, but don't really need it. A folding table. I should probably actually get this one out and show it to you guys, but yeah, this is not only a folding table, but it's got extending legs, meaning you can bring it up to like counter height. Get yourself a good folding table, especially one with extending legs, if you ask me. I'm making some kind of mess here. Levels, got a couple of different levels. You want yourself a decent one in case you ever need to check. All right, Tommy Bahama chairs. Let's see, these I got to get out, I think, from the other side. So I don't think I can even show you that. But yeah, Tommy Bahama chairs. There's a cooler back in there, a mat, and a Swiffer. And I guess that's really about it. Only other thing I've done here is I've mounted a little power, just little battery backup power station for like computers and things, and that actually feeds our network equipment that's upstairs. So I've run an extension cable through the walls and through the underbelly to go up there. So this is a really good air compressor. I like using it with attachments to blow out when I clean out the AC units or various other needs. Also with a staple gun, really good for the RV, where, or I guess I should say a brad nailer, because everything's like nailed and stapled together in this thing. Yeah, aside from that, we've got like a cooler and like a little mat back here. That's about it. So it's a lot of your standard stuff. There's really nothing special or unique that we've got in this whole storage bay. You know, maybe we're not the, type of people that just like super organized and like, oh, I got a place for everything. And then we do all this stuff. We get to a campsite and we set it all up and all that. A lot of what we carry are just the basic tools for maintaining the RV, living in it full time. And of course, like a few other things to just use here and there. But that's kind of it. That's the tour of the RV. That's what we've been using. I can't really think of anything else that like, other than the generator that we used to have in here that we stopped carrying with us. Like, that's pretty much it. So thanks for joining us on this one. I guess we'll see you in the next one. Yeah, I gotta go get sunglasses. I'm squinting like crazy. Bye ya.